I'm going to call the meeting to order. I have 7:10. This meeting is being broadcast live tonight, and it is being recorded for rebroadcast, so I need to know if anyone else is making a recording of this meeting. Okay. And if you could please silence your cell phones, that'd be great. Anyways, the first item on the agenda is the 7 o'clock continued public hearing relative to Masad Family LLC at 50 Faith Avenue. Is there a motion to reopen the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Okay, someone ready to address this, I imagine?
Thank you, Conservation Commission Chairman, Ms. Weston. Also, Glenn Kowalski from EBT Environmental Consultants and Mike Scott from Waterman Design Associates. We had submitted the information. I believe most of you might have received it on Monday. Ms. Washburn did give a call to Brian Waterman and also to Mike Scott today. We understand that she possibly has not had full time to review and give comment back. So the commission might be looking for that comment. So we're anticipating a continuance till you hear from your consultant.
Well, while we're discussing consultants, Ms. Washburn Sheila sent her call Sheila today because she put in a price of $750 to review the new work, the new package.
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe, the peer reviewer has been paid by the client.
Yes, ma'am.
And so before I can authorize any work,
Right, ma'am.
we have to have the funds.
We'll
Or,
definitely
written permission that, you're going to grant the funds.
we'll bring that directly to the Massads tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Is there anything like an email where it can give us the figures so that I can bring that to the Massads? Margaret
price?
puts that down on paper or something?
Sheila, do you have
I'm
any
not
other-
working tomorrow.
Oh, you're not working tomorrow? Okay.
We can verbally do it. I just not like to hand them a piece of paper that comes from the commission.
You know what, I have it on my email at home. I can email it to your office.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And then we'll get it over to
Okay.
the Massads.
All right, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but...
No, that obviously it's important that she gets paid so she can do the review, period.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Brief discussion, Mr. Scott, you might state potentially just a brief discussion that you had with Brian Waterman and as it relates. Brian, because he had bronchitis, had a hard time talking to, but you can explain just a little bit of what
Sure.
Margaret might have said.
For the record, Mike Scott, Waterman Design. As Glenn said, I was out this morning. Margaret called our office, then she didn't get a hold of me, so she called Brian, who's home with bronchitis. I spoke to Brian this afternoon. Margaret mentioned that she hadn't finished her review in a message to me on my phone, but she also said that to Brian. And she was focusing on a couple construction sort of level comments with him, particular pertaining to I think some of her prior comments on the wetland replication plan. So she was really talking about sort of end of the line details. She wasn't talking big picture stuff. So that's all I can really relate
I
to.
appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. That being said, my report, and we went to both Brandon Pfanner, Brian Waterman, and myself all did a critique of the existing replication out there. We sent packages to each member. You might have reviewed those packages with 13 exhibits. And also talking to Mr. Nato, I know initially the commission had, and the consultant for the commission had heard that the existing wetland replication was a wetland, even though it hadn't received the certificate of compliance. We took the time to talk to DEP section chief and also have had other projects where the replications were not considered and aren't considered wetlands until they receive a certificate of compliance, so that there might be a full review of that replication area. We realized that my clients did hire people to do the replication, but we also admit that the replications that are out there are not functioning and do have a majority of upland plants, or that there's hydric soils are up to 20 inches down, and which you're looking for hydric soils generally within 12 inches. So because we have such an abundance of upland plants and dying off of the existing wetland plants that were put in, and also some wetland plants that were put in that aren't native, the replication area, both north and south, we divided into different sections from center, aren't functioning and wouldn't comply and wouldn't be able to be certified, we believe, as a wetland, period. Ms. Washburn originally had stated that if we could keep our replication area, our lost area, under 2,000 square feet, or at 2,000 or under, at 4,425 square feet, that it could be permitted by the commission. We're presently at 2,000 square feet with our proposed work, which is the realignment of the roadway, the removal of approximately 1,350 linear feet of Faith Ave with the replacement by and of 360 linear feet. The existing roadway is not designed to today's standards for stormwater, whereas the new roadway would be designed to stormwater standards. We also went to the point of looking at the entire wetland system to offer some other forms of mitigation besides our replication for the lost wetland that we would be proposing. We looked at upgradient and downgradient degradation to this wetland system, anthropogenic pollution sources, man-made pollution sources. Today, in fact, as of today, we talked to DEP as to oil discharges and sludge discharges that are coming down to our property. In DEP, Giles, Steels, Perkins is one, and Chronopolis is another. We were sent to them through the wetland staff down to these people that have to do with discharges, and we're now pursuing other of that oil problem that we have coming at us. Beyond that, we've talked to Bill Clarity of Mass DOT, and we're looking at the extensive amount of road sand that's contributing to Eddy Pond, in the delta in Eddy Pond. We walked down through the 500 linear feet. We have an exhibit of 8A, and that's the cloverleaf section of 290, 395 and 20. In that cloverleaf section, there is a 500-foot long channel. The plan was put together by Brian Waterman at my request to show the full drainage of this from headwater to pond. And that channel has anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of road sand through 500 feet long by 15 feet wide to 20. And presently, soon as snow melts, DOT is committed to walk that with us, to look at the taking out of that sediment, all in to improve and as another form of mitigation that we're offering to our project. We've also gone to, as you probably saw, we've gone to your town DPW to look at what we thought might be obvious, that this is a benefit to the town. I'm sure it's been stated before, but the benefit by having only 1/4 of the road system, the 1,350 compared to the 360 that we propose. And it is that the town obviously is in favor, at least the DPW, of getting a shorter road in there due to the fact that Diamond has bought the properties along this portion of Faith Ave that is no longer needed by the town. We see that as a benefit because the new stormwater that is going to be put in by Waterman Associates, designed by Waterman, is today's standards for stormwater. Could you talk a little bit about the stormwater on that 360 piece? I think you put Storm Tech in there. You were stating to that just a bit, if you don't mind, Madam.
No, that's fine.
You know that, as you probably recall, the new road, which runs basically straight from 20 to Faith, and is between the building and the off-site property to the west, would be to town standards, and there would be, I think we have 4 catch basins in the design, all of which we call for as water quality type structures. We talked to your highway people, and that was acceptable to them to use a proprietary type system rather than just a deep sump catch basin. So you would have a higher level of sediment containment, a higher level of spill containment if there were a spill, and other floatable containment. The town has the ability to maintain those types of structures. And right now there are, I think, 4 or 5 structures along the other portion of Faith. So quite a bit of the road doesn't have good drainage collection from a hydraulics or public safety end of it. And the drainage that's in is either substandard in the sense that it doesn't have sumps, or it's too small. The drainage system would be too antiquated, so it wouldn't meet any kind of standard. So you're getting a much shorter road with better, with less pavement, but you're also getting better collection and treatment of any stormwater that is collected running off from the road. And we're not adding any structures or any kind of facilities that would require more maintenance than the town's already doing. It'd be similar maintenance. But with with better end results from a water quality standpoint.
And much less road, and again, quite a bit less. The drainage system that we talked about, that we show on your plans, there's, at the toe of a slope, it's about a 1-to-1 slope at the toe of the driveway, and we did talk to DEP that any collection of sampling that we do would be at our property interface and not on their property, so that there's no issue with that. It is sludge, not just oil, it's sludge. The building was built in '71, and the additional building was built in '79, well before stormwater standards and Clean Water Act, so there might be an issue of floor drains directly connected. That being said, the system flows through and underneath and eventually discharges over to here, and we show pictures of the sand coming in from the road, here. Also that this channel that flows through this clover leaf is the one that contains an extensive amount of road sand. We walk it with the Conservation Commission show. I think the pictures that I showed in my photo exhibit are pretty clear that it's so deep that it's killed the trees that are within the channel because now they're buried under sand. And so clear that the pipe that discharges here, the 30-inch RCP, is underwater because of the delta that's formed at its outflow. We've worked with Mass DOT in the past on Route 9 over near the Castle Restaurant in Leicester. We worked with them. We're working with them presently in Oxford to remove their road sands. They these days, we're working with them on 146 with the new 9,000 square foot basin discharging into Cold Spring Brook. They are conscious of their problems, and we have seen good cooperation by DOT. So in the end, we see that the whole system, as it eventually drains down and goes into Eddy Pond, can be improved, and that our proposed project is environmentally sound, as I said in the conclusion of my letter, and it benefits the town, and overall the entire system is, we're not just going to look at our property, we're looking at the entire system as an improvement. I will say one last thing, that I know I'm bringing in outside projects, but again, Coal Mine Brook in Worcester, we designed 16 projects to improve that whole system from Burncoat Pond all the way to Lake Quincy. This is similar to that, where we're working to remove sediments, remove oils that are going down, coming to us. In Coal Mine, we removed 3 sewer sources coming in, but this one we have an oil source, and then there's the sand source. And maybe in the future, we can work with Mass DOT, or the town can, to ensure, like we have done on 122 in Worcester for Ararat Brook, to have them maintain their basin so they're not discharging, in that case, into a trout stream that's called Ararat Brook in Worcester. So that cooperation is already there in place, and as I say, the oil issue had not been brought directly to DEP, to the people that actually will look at it until today. Wetland people knew about it a short time ago, but I made those contacts so that we can. I was actually waiting for the next discharge. Alpha Analytical has given me a price of $165 to sample field volatiles. So we were going to actually do the sampling, send it in, and then give that to you. What ended up happening was the brook dried up after a melt event. The oils were there. When it froze up, it was 3 degrees when I looked at it within a few days. It had dried and the oils weren't collectible, the sludge. And so that's why I didn't get the sample to send into the lab, but we would.
I'm sorry, what's the source of the oil, in your opinion? Where's it coming from?
The smell of it and the putting the thing and everything, it floor drains, it appears to me. It's not, oil's coming from the surface, which we just had in Oxford just a week and a half ago into Barbers Hollow Brook, and the commission looked at. When they're on the surface, if there's a spill, you get the sheen, you might get a thickness. This stuff was sludge. And it had the odor of not direct new oils or what. So that's up to, would be that I did write in my report that I would give this to the Board of Health and to DEP, but we're working with them now so that our wetland system is getting cleaner water. The overall Eddy Pond gets cleaner water, both from that and from, as you know, that's what our goal is to comply with your bylaw, to comply with the wetland regulation, and go above that for consideration by the commission for the design that we presently have. And we will stay on this. There could be something in the order, but Mr. Clarity said to me, as soon as things melt up, and I'm hoping in another 2 to 3, 4 weeks that we see the melting, that we can at least look at the sand. The oil, that'll be the next melting event that we hope to see something coming to us that we can sample, and the bottles are in the car waiting, and DEP will be immediately informed.
So the sludge is on the Duddy Ford property?
No, it's at the Langway property.
Oh, the Langway property.
It's
okay. All right.
Okay. Are you finished or?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, so for now, thank you. If there's any-
Okay. Well, I guess, to me, it's like the crux of this whole issue is whether or not you can do this project without filling less than 5,000 square feet of wetland.
Yes, ma'am.
And the only way I see that you can do that is if you buy the fact that the replication area is in a wetland. And I see Mr. NATO's email, but it says generally, and I couldn't find anywhere in the regulations where it says in black and white, where it defines whether a replicated wetland is a wetland or not. And I need something black and white. This doesn't do it for me. And I'd like to ask the commission, since we have time, because we know Margaret hasn't done her review yet.
Right.
I'm wondering if perhaps we could solicit a legal opinion from DEP Legal in Boston and ask them if they can define for us, if they can give a ruling
Sure.
on whether or not this applies in this case. Because to me, that's the issue. If that is a wetland, I don't see how you can do what you want to do and meet the regulations, filling less than 5,000. So that to me seems to be the issue.
Thank you.
So that's what I was going to propose to the board, if we could do that.
Might I just say, if I could, the other reason why there was 3 consultants looking at the replication that's out there, it wouldn't comply as a wetland because at this time, so it wouldn't receive a certificate of compliance as the hydric soils are 20 inches down in the northern area and 15 or 16 inches down in the southern portion of the replication.
Right.
It's not growing with a predominance of wetland plants, so it wouldn't meet the criteria of a wetland. But beyond that, if I might, Ann, is that Phil NATO did talk to DEP Legal in Boston, and we welcome that you go to DEP and talk to the attorneys.
Yeah,
I don't like the word generally in there myself. That's the way it came out, but let him clear that term up. He did receive this package. Let the attorneys from Boston clear it up. We might say that in a couple of projects that I have, Boulder Industrial as one, the wetland, the replication was created. It became, did not receive a certificate of compliance. It became an issue with a truck turnaround garage entrance, and DEP looked at it, this is 2 years ago, and agreed that there could be an amendment. DEP themselves has told us that we've had cases where wetlands replications were placed in areas they weren't functioning correctly. We've allowed amendments to move them, so they weren't official wetlands.
And I understand all that,
Yeah.
but, you know, previously Ecotech was involved as a wetlands consultant here, and I read everything in this package.
Yes.
So I read the evaluation from the gentleman from Rhode Island, which was a wintertime evaluation, and he talked about the dead plants and the stress plants, and I get it. However, several months ago, Ecotech stood here in this very room and said that that replication area was a wetland. And Margaret Washburn said it was a wetland. Several months ago, the plants probably weren't all dead. But I would just like to have some clarity, some clarification, something in writing that says from DEP Legal, in writing, that's what the definition is.
That a wetland isn't a wetland until it receives a certificate of compliance. Thank you.
You know, just an observation, and again, looking at your package, and I did review it as well.
Thank you.
7A, you attribute, one of the reasons why the replication area did not take was because of the contractor. You say here, there are statements here, the contractor and the wetland consultant overseer of the replication process left unmounted did not connect the created channels to the natural stream channel. So you have a situation here where you're the applicant, yet it appears that the applicant itself didn't facilitate or do, let me finish.
Oh, I know.
Didn't do what was required under our order of conditions to replicate this wetlands. So, you know, it's a very interesting argument you're making. You know, it's sort of like, trying to think of the analogy, where, you know, have mercy on me, I killed my father, but have mercy on me because I'm an orphan. You understand what I'm saying?
Can I bring more in? I do. Can I bring more into it?
Please.
Even still then, you would still need hydric soils within 12 inches of the final surface, and they're 20 inches down. They're still bright 7.5 YR44, 10 YR4446. The soil, you need hydrology, not this intermittent flow channel. intermittently gives you water because it just begins right at the top of the hill. It's only a few hundred feet up. So that intermittent flow, when the water table is down, you're still looking for groundwater table to support your wetland. The groundwater table is not close enough, even with the channels flowing in through it. It still isn't going to be wet enough in the summertime to grow a wetland on that northern section.
But I would submit that before this replication area was put in there,
Yes.
going way back, 3 or
Yes,
4
yes.
years, whatever, there was an active wetland system there.
There is, but the replication itself, I'm submitting that it is not a viable wetland, and nor could it be because of the elevation that it was placed at. So then again, as the commission is contending that this is a wetland that could receive potentially a certificate of compliance, or be a wetland, period.
Well, it wouldn't-
It
I
just
mean,
isn't a wetland.
I accept what you're saying here. You're saying it wouldn't be a wetland because the work wasn't done properly.
But I mean, either it was a wetland before the replication was done, or it wasn't. And what you're
No,
saying, Mike, is it
no,
was.
it was.
It was
It
a
was a
wetland
wetland.
before
No
the
question
replication
about it.
happened.
Okay,
So
one at a time.
Yep, yep.
That's why we have replication
Right.
in the order of conditions.
If I could, the center that it abuts, the north and south portions of the replication area are new. That was not a wetland.
Right.
The wetland itself was in the center, and the replication were designed to right and left. So I agree, there's a wetland in the heart of it, and there are hydric soils in the heart right before it goes into the pipe. But the area to the north, again, the water table is up to 20 inches down, and it's growing 90% upland plants. Even with the water flowing into it, if it was connected, it still wouldn't be wet enough long enough, because you would still need a water table to support it. If you had continuous water flowing in, say if there was a perennial stream flowing to us, and the thing had water year-round into a new area that didn't have a water table, I could contend clearly that we would have enough water to support a wetland system. But because this is ephemeral, the flow in the stream channel begins right at the top of the hill. It doesn't have a large drainage area. You need hydric soils. In fact, the protocol from March 2002 calls for having hydric soils within 12 inches of the final surface. We have it 20 inches down. My point about the replication is just that it, even with the errors of not connecting the channel, you still, that whole northern area would not turn into a wetland even if it was connected. It is helping to keep it even drier. I agree with some of the Mr. Faniff's report in my work that said that the channels weren't connected. We still are 28 inches too low. When you auger down through the 12 inches they put as an organic soil, which is rich, I was questioning the organic, and it is rich enough. But then you still have to go another 8 inches below that through a 10YR4, a very natural soil. It's not disturbed underneath that because they only dug that 12 inches and then put it in, or they dug the upland down and they dug 12 inches further down, then backfill with the 12. Underneath that is still the virgin soil that's what we call the B horizon. That B horizon is still too bright, showing there's no water table underneath or close enough to the surface. So the thing could not function. Yes, sir.
So you're saying then that if everything was done properly according to the original design, that it still would not have taken as a replication?
The northern area would not. That's correct.
Okay. Well, then I guess the question would be, was there an alternative design available back how many years ago where the northern part of the site would have replicated properly?
From my reading of the reports, the Ecotech, and going back through the multiple documents, I didn't see an alternative design for a different replication area. What we did do, through Brian, through the Waterman and my company, we followed the 2002 protocol march of DEP replication, and we dug the test holes, as you saw as an exhibit. We found where the water table is, and we adjusted our replication area to conform to that protocol, to conform to 1055 4B1 through 7, the points of having hydric soils within 12 inches. So we would have clearly we would be growing wetland plants. We could plant wetland plants, grow wetland plants, and not be worried about all these invading upland herb species that I brought out to you, the primrose, the Queen Anne's lace, the bull thistle, and also the extensive purple loosestrife, which is another thing that wasn't followed. In addition, I just bring up one more point of my photo exhibit. It appears that the soils were contaminated because normally there's a master's degree study through Brian Conley, which is a state botanist, who turned me on to the study of the Japanese bamboo, only because I do a lot of exotic invasive removal from framing everywhere, wherever it might be, core. And normally Japanese bamboo does not easily seed out. I found it in the thesis report, it was a thesis report, It seeds out in coarse gravel banks. In fact, there was a contention years ago that it only spreads by cuttings and by expansion through rhizome. The point about this, the northern area and the southern area, it has so much Japanese bamboo new shoots in it that it appears that the soils were probably contaminated when they were brought in. That's just one more point, that when we make this wetland, as in Wayland, when I did a recent replication, we're required to go out, look at the soils before they are even brought in to ensure there's no exotic plant root systems in there, whether it be, sometimes I had one in Douglas where it was Phragmites coming in. So I won't keep going in there.
Okay,
I know that
just-
you were
I was gonna
further
say,
now. It just has
can we
to do.
stay in Auburn?
Well, it's only because of all the, yes, I will, Ann. It
Thank
just
you.
has to do with the errors in the replication and also just being too high. And lastly, as the chairwoman and the rest of the board, I believe, want to see a better clarification on the word generally, in the attorneys for DEP stating when is a wetland a wetland.
I'd like to see a ruling from DEP Legal
Yeah.
as to whether a wetland replication area, when it's been done, is it a wetland, or is it not a wetland until a certificate of compliance has
Thank
been
you.
issued?
Thank you.
And you know, and therein lies another issue too. We've got quite a mess really sitting here with paperwork, because the original filing prior to this one
Yes, ma'am.
is still open, because it was really never finished, and there's no certificate of compliance issued.
Right.
You know, one have been requested 6, 7, I mean, we've been waiting 6 months for you folks to come back to us. But that filing is still sitting out there too. We really need to clean that up, I think.
Ma'am, thank you, Ms. President. We would like to, we don't want two conflicting orders. In fact, it's against the regulations
you
to have two
can't-
conflicting
I know
orders.
that.
So we just recently had one, yeah, here's it going in another town, but it does come in. Hardwick, Mass, a turf farm went into a solar farm. Yes, we got the order of conditions for the change from the turf farm at the Dunn Roman Country Club to the solar farm, but we clearly did get an order, and we stated in our order, when the commission issued in the order, that we cannot move forward with anything on the solar farm until we close out
The
the
first
turf farm. It would be same as this. We would like to close the hearing on this project and immediately go into request for certificate of compliance on the old one, showing that we adopted the replication area from the old filing into the new filing. And that way you're still guaranteed that you're going to receive your replication area, if that works for the commission.
I just have one other question, maybe one or two more questions.
Yes, sir.
The contract, you don't identify the contractor by name
The contractor.
who was working to install the replication area.
I didn't do that on purpose. I can find that out. It
Okay,
wasn't.
I'd like to know who it is.
Sure,
Because
contract.
based on your comments, you're saying that, in effect, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, that this project may have been doomed from the beginning, maybe being too dramatic, but you've indicated that the soil that was brought into the project was contaminated by the bamboo. So, if the contractor wasn't diligent enough to make sure that non-contaminated soils were brought into the project, then perhaps a new contractor is needed. Or perhaps protocols, let me finish.
Yes.
Or perhaps protocols need to be established and enforced to make sure this doesn't happen again. Would you agree?
Yes, in fact, if I could take it one step forward further, is that if orders of conditions, if you choose, you clearly, and I don't recommend
did
to
that.
your board that you just add in that clearly soils similar to Wayland are looked at before any replication soils come in, that the consultant for whoever's going to oversee the replication has to go to wherever those soils are, look at them, just like you would look at root stock of nursery stock coming into, which we also do, making sure they're viable, that they're hardy before they're even brought in. The sewer plant in Hopkins, but yes, the replication plants were viable and they had purple loose stripe around the stalk of where they dug them up. So all the plants should be looked at ahead of time, the soils should be looked at. We should be doing the protocol of March 2002, making sure there's hydric soils within 12 inches of the final cut, so that we have water table. I'm not sure how that originally was done on the Ecotech one, but I do know that it is not there near the surface, and it does need to be.
Okay.
So I will get the contractor, and I think a lot of that with the contractor is still going to be oversight by the consultant to ensure every aspect, and that's why in my report I did say that Ms. Washburn had multiple things that she still wanted to see from her original July, I believe, report, and one of them was monitoring, and that continuing monitoring spring, fall, soils, plants first, then spring and fall once it's planted. The issue of the purple loosestrife, the reason why we're going into the exotic invasive and removal is clearly because if you have the purple loosestrife right adjacent to the replication area and you don't get a good herbaceous plant growth right away, there's nothing for the purple, there's no competition for the seed of the purple. And we found this in another case, Brook Street in Shrewsbury, where all of a sudden there it goes wild because it just seeded out the barren soil, whereas if there's a grass growth or a Grossus alba or whatever your wet meadow seed mix, which normally takes quite a while to get going, that's why I add the Grossus alba in, to get a grass growth in there, compete with anything, but also removal of those exotics so they can't come in. Presently, we have multiflora rose coming into the northern part of the replication area, and they're new seedlings. So that was the other reason why going to Siemens and asking them, can we read out the plants in your adjacent property, make sure this replication not only is monitored, but that we don't have that quick seed stock coming in from the Japanese bamboo, there's Japanese bamboo, but the seed stock from the Oriental bittersweet, Tartarian honeysuckle, multiflora rose, those things quick, and then purple loosestrife quickly come into replication areas. And what we've been doing, Boston Roadside, not doing this on purpose, I'm just making a point at all, Ian, please, that we do have to go out and weed the bugger out of these sites once they've got going if we're coming in after the fact. And we just did a lot, it was 3,000 square feet for some of the people living in Northtown, the Consolidated Beverages home for replication, and it was labor intensive to remove all the purple loosestrifes once we got called in to oversee it, because before the commission would sign off, there had to be none in there. And so we're just saying we would start the monitoring right off, because as soon as they come up and you get that first seeding out, then you're really playing catch up once they've grown one season. What happened here is they grew that first season probably 11. They got seeded in 11. They grew in 12. They seeded out then the ones in 12, because it takes about a year for you to get a seed stalk out of the first seedling, the purple loosestrife. So it might have been on the outskirts. It came in, it grew in from the seeding in 11, fall of 11, summer, fall, and then 12 it grows up, and now then it seeds again. So 13 I'm jam-packed with purple loosestrife. So it just got going. It was never, that monitoring wasn't put in place, I might just say.
Okay.
One other point I just wanted to bring up was relative to the letter from Bill Coyle, the DPW director.
Yes, sir.
You know, I didn't have an opportunity to speak with him today, but
Yes.
I was aware of the letter. And of course, you know, he's looking at it from a different perspective than an environmental one. You know, we all recognize that it would be probably a straighter, safer shot for people from 20 to 12 to Faith Ave.
Yep.
And clearly, it's less road miles for the town to maintain,
Yes.
and we get that.
Yes.
But that does not have really any relevance to our issue with environmental issues. So while, you know, we know that from that standpoint, from that side of it, he and the town, I guess the town powers that be generally support that idea.
Yeah.
But of course, that doesn't negate the fact that we have our own issues that we have to comply with. I'm just making a point.
Right, and that's why I did bring up and Mr. Scott did bring up the point of the, just tonight, and I brought it up in my report, was that the old road does not have the stormwater that we
Yep.
want to see. It's a lot more roadway, there's more runoff, there's more colloidals coming off of it. We're going to be catching colloidals, we're doing today's stormwater where that had, you might as well say none. And I showed some pictures of the two basins I found in that road, and they were filled to the top. And so I did see Mr. Core was in a paper recently about reducing sands and stuff, which is all great. But we still have this, we still are looking at some extra mitigation here for the entire system, we might say, even though we're still looking for that answer from DEP as to what this replication is actually called without the word generally in there. I still say that clearly we have to be under 5,000. I guess that's the crux, as you said, Ms. Weston. Well, when we're under, if indeed we do get that clarified answer, and we are under the 5,000, then we would see that the project is working to clean up the entire system all the way to Eddy Pond.
Are there other questions at this point?
No.
Okay. Dan? No? Okay. All right, then, I will email you Ms. Washburn's email with her price on it.
Yes, ma'am.
I will do that. And you've already indicated that you are willing to continue
Yes, ma'am.
to allow time
We
for
were
that
asking
review
for
to
a
take place?
continuance, please,
Yes.
for a couple. Oh,
Yeah.
we would ask for a couple weeks if possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sheila, do you have one of
Yes,
those
I do.
continuance forms? Okay. Yeah, just so that there's an opportunity for the consultant to have time to review and for us to get an inquiry off to DEP legal,
Yes.
asking for that written clarification.
Thank you.
I just like to have things in black and white.
Thank you.
So, if there aren't any other questions or comments, is there a motion to continue?
So moved.
I'll second that.
To what date?
Well, 2 weeks from tonight would be the 26th, I believe.
Yes.
Do we already have something on for that agenda, don't we? But I'm looking for time.
Yes, I do. This would have to be continued to 7:15.
7:15?
Just to let you know, I'm going to be away that night.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes.
But you could still have an opportunity under the Mullen Rule to...
Yeah, I can. I can look at
Okay.
the
All right.
replay.
So the motion is to continue to February 26th at 7:15. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion?
I don't have a phone here.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted.
Thank
Do you
you.
have the form?
Thank you.
Email you a letter tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you again
I'm
very
going to
much.
email you a letter tomorrow.
Could you?
Yeah.
All right, that would be wonderful.
For continuance request.
I don't have any.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. We'll get that over to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Oh, here they are. I'm sorry. I thought I had them.
You've been doing all
Yeah,
this.
that's fine.
This is yours, Glenn.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
What was the date on this date?
Yeah, and just put today's date, the 12th. And you made that motion, right, Michael?
Did.
And who seconded it?
Dan.
Dan.
What's that?
And you all agree?
I second it, yes.
And you all agree about contacting?
Thank you.
Yes. If you want me to do a separate motion.
Yeah, I think I like that. I think he's self-required to do that.
Yes. So the question is, we want DEP legal to clarify whether a replicated wetland is considered a wetland under the regulations. Is that
And, right, and
Under the
yes,
RSA.
whether, unless it doesn't matter whether a certificate of compliance has been issued yet.
And our, too bad our bylaw doesn't apply.
I know.
I know. Okay,
All right,
that's my motion.
is there a second?
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So, okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice
Good night.
evening.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple of decisions that we have to get done.
Yes, we do.
One is relevant to the middle school project,
Yep.
and the other is relevant to Mass DOT.
Yeah.
You want to do the school one? I'm sorry, not the school, the Pappas Recreation
Yeah,
Complex, the
Pappas.
playground.
Yeah, that's probably.
I'm mixing up my
That's
projects.
the easier of the two.
Uh-oh.
I know,
That's a big oops.
don't even say that.
Okay, relative to Pappas,
Yeah.
I would move that we issue a standard order of conditions plus the following special conditions, which I have to read, right?
Yes, you do.
Oh, I do have it on the, it's on the website.
Is it on the website?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, for the sake of time, I'm not going to read them. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11. I think that would do it.
So that was 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, and 11,
Yes.
plus the standard. Is there a second?
That's standard.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Ms. Conroy has our signature page.
Yes, I do. all typed up, just with the number, here it is.
Okay.
I believe it's 617. These are all copies.
Anybody else been watching the Olympics?
Yeah.
A little bit of heartbreak for Team USA so far. Too bad about Bodie in the downhill, and too bad about Sean White on the half.
You know, I saw his practice run. His practice run was
It
flawless.
sounds like Bodie had 2 incredible practice runs, and then just didn't
Why
put it
did he
together.
withdraw?
He didn't.
Well, he didn't withdraw. He just
He just
came in
didn't
8th
perform.
place.
Oh, who was the one that withdrew?
Well, Sean White
Sean
withdrew from the slope style,
Slope style.
and then he also came in like
He
8th
tanked. No,
place
fourth.
or
He came
4th.
fourth in the half
Yeah.
pipe. You know what? The reality is that he's 27, which I think in that sport is pretty old. And you know what?
Isn't it kind of weird being seen as like an elder statesman at 27?
in some sports it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And then I just think he's.
Well, then again, the guy you put in the gold's 25.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's 2 years.
And the Japanese performer who won the silver is 15 years old.
Well, with the was it silver and bronze? I think.
We're both
They're
Japanese.
both Japanese
but the
guys.
one who won the
Yeah.
silver was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I just think Sean White is too distracted by his rock band and by his.
He may have too many irons in the fire. Yeah.
Go USA.
It's adorable.
His brand may have grown too large for him to focus.
Exactly.
All right.
Bye, Ellie.
Enough of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to
Bye.
Mass.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Mass DOT.
Yes. Let's do
We've got one for 90, Interstate 90, and then one for 290.
We have to do two separate ones?
They were
Well,
looking
they're
to
two separate
amend.
numbers, two
Right.
separate filings.
They were amending their orders.
Right. Okay. Is there any question about whether the Permanent Extension Act applies? I did get actually a data sheet on
We
it.
seem to be clear.
Okay, so there's no question about
Yep.
it? Good, all right. In that case, and I actually think that the order that I will issue for one will be applicable to the other,
Okay,
so we can kill two birds with one stone.
sounds good.
All right, standard order plus. 1, 2, 3. Is there replication?
No.
No, okay. 5. Riprap. 8, 9, 11, 12, and 13.
Okay, so that's standard plus 1, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, 12, and 13. Is there
Two in there, is it 1, 2, 3?
1, 2, 3,
1, 2, 3.
5, 8, 9, 11, 12, and 13? Is there a second
I'll second.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Yeah, as it turns out, the permanent in the Pappas Record project was fine too.
All right, so we have, this is for 90, Interstate 90, and
Okay.
this is for 290.
And the other thing that's unfortunate about the Olympics, Mike, is it's just a snapshot in time. You know, it's the world has all their eyes on your performance during those moments, and it doesn't matter how well you did on your practice run. It doesn't matter how well you did in the competition you were at the week before the, or whatever, like the
Yeah.
month
Right.
before the Olympics.
Yeah.
And the general public doesn't pay any attention to the non-Olympics competitions these guys are in.
Well, there's a small.
I mean, not in the U.S. I mean,
Not in the
other countries, they pay attention to the World
They
Cup
do.
for skiing. And the X Games, I guess, get a certain amount of attention, but I'm sure the numbers are not
pretty
like
small
the
audience.
Olympics.
Sure.
It's just
Well,
unfortunate.
not only that, but I mean, the temperatures in Sochi, they've been in the 40s.
Well,
It's not conducive to alpine sports.
it is interesting hearing the press coverage that the reason why it was in Sochi to begin with is because of the leader of Russia and his personal preferences. Really.
Okay.
I mean, why not Siberia? Hello.
Right. They could hold the Summer Olympics in Sochi as well. You save money.
Okay, let's get back to,
Yes, ma'am.
Corville Road, National Grid thing. What, someone called about that?
She
Isn't that
called,
the same road, the same neighborhood that we've had calls from before?
well, I don't know where Corville Road is. We had Nancy Drive. I don't know if
Oh,
that's
maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
near it. Now she's concerned, stating that they're dumping salt and all kinds of debris near the wetland area. Find that email.
Now, it's interesting, I'm looking at the email that came in Monday, and from Darlene to Paula Rosick, and it says,
Yeah.
please add to our new tally sheet for 2014. So that suggests that there's more than one person complaining, right? Are there a lot of people complaining?
I don't think it's about that, no.
Okay, all right,
I don't know what she meant by that.
okay.
Well, I mean, we are talking about the National Grid.
Yes. But that isn't a tally sheet for that. I think it's just complaints in general or...
Oh,
We're
okay.
talking about the National Grid.
But haven't we had
project
other
that's
complaints
going on.
along this
Yeah, it's
section of the
Nancy
National Grid project? So
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where Corville Road is either.
it's
Is it near Nancy Drive?
it's not actually zooming in on the names.
It's up to the left. Okay.
There it is right there.
What part of Cornwall?
Where the A is. Well, I
Well,
don't know.
Google Maps isn't always accurate
Okay,
as
there
to.
you go. So there's the easement.
And that's
So the
probably
utilities.
right there.
So
yeah.
it is in that area?
I would say.
It's along,
Haven Cemetery. Cemetery Road.
Silver,
she didn't give anything really specific, did she?
Magna Vista's down there.
Oh, well, I guess we'll have to try to find
In her
it
neighborhood.
in the neighborhood.
Yeah, they're dumping
Somewhere
sand
along
and salt
that
in
road.
her neighborhood. And it's a no-salt area due to the wetland brooks and streams.
Oh, so it doesn't necessarily mean that this dumping is near the wetland, it just means that it's a no-salt area, right?
That's what she said. Due to the wetlands, brooks, and streams, it's a no-salt area. And they're dumping sand and salt.
I think we need more details. We need
Yeah,
more.
because I mean, if it's
Okay.
outside of our jurisdiction, then, I mean, short of calling them and telling them to remove it, what are you gonna do?
Do we know where Miss Turner lives?
No.
Could we find out?
Yeah.
Maybe the assessor's office?
Yeah.
Maybe we could send her a letter and ask her to come in and tell us specifically where this is happening.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's an awful lot of area to look.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. If she can pinpoint it, maybe looking at the Google map, then will give us something to
Yep.
go to
go from.
National Grid
Yeah.
on. So I would put that in a form of a motion.
Alrighty.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Okay. Okay, we wanted to talk about our deadline for the agenda policy. I think Michael went ahead and put something together. I tried to get what the planning board did. I talked to Adam today, Bernie. They don't have their policy written yet because he's rewriting all their policies and regulations. But, the vote, what they voted to do was, it's not dissimilar to ours. They're going to require that people, any documentation that's formatted that's on their meeting agenda, they're going to require that that be received by them the Tuesday before their Tuesday meeting so that it can be mailed out in their packets on Thursday. And that's very similar to what, and they further went in their vote. They said that if something is submitted after the deadline for a matter that's on their agenda, they're not going to hear that matter on their agenda at all at that meeting.
See, I think we have two options. We can either not hear the matter, or we can go forward and consider the matter,
Right.
but not consider the additional information.
Right. And ask for them to continue for an opportunity to review it.
At that point, then they'd have to request a continuance.
Right. Right, I'm not, you know, the idea of not hearing the matter, I really think we gotta stay away from that.
Right.
But I think it's, you know, you need an ample opportunity to, like that package that we got on the,
From Glenn.
yeah, I mean, that was a huge package,
Mhm.
and we got it 2 days ago.
Yep, I know.
You know, no opportunity for the consultant to review it.
Yeah, I did a double take when I saw it arrive in the mail and it
Yes,
came
I know.
from him. It didn't come via town hall. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
are we getting directly mailed by?
Well, I think he realized, you know, he was, as the deadline. you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've been promising materials for 2 months. at
I
least.
understand that. I do.
You know, so, I mean, I would just like to put the brakes on this last minute.
You know, absolutely. It's not efficient. It's not a good use of our time, and it's not.
It's not fair to us. I
It's
mean,
well.
really.
It's also, if you think about it, it doesn't really do the applicant any favors either. You know. So.
You know, and I think you were proposing a week prior, that would put it the Wednesday before our Wednesday meeting.
Yeah.
Sheila works on Thursday, so she has time to get it out in a packet to us,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so, I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable, myself.
And I guess the only change I'd make to this would be instead, I wrote documents submitted to the commission. What I might instead say would be documents submitted to the commission's administrative assistant. You know?
Fine.
But I think we should put it into effect.
Any other comments on what Mike put together? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I would move to that we adopt what I've entitled Auburn Conservation Commission Policy Number 2014-1. And I'll just read it into the record. Applicants shall submit all documents in connection with any and all matters filed with the Auburn Conservation Commission for consideration of public hearing no later than 1 calendar week prior to the scheduled hearing date. Documents submitted to the Commission's administrative assistant within 7 calendar days of the scheduled public hearing will not be considered in connection with the applicant's submittal.
Do you think you should say at that particular meeting?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Because, I mean, you'd consider them from the time you continue them forward.
Let them make the motion to continue. I don't think you have to say that.
Okay.
Should that say documents submitted within fewer than 7 calendar days will not be considered?
Yeah, that's fine. Then you're
Okay.
about that. And what I'll do is I'll just, I can revise this and send it out to everyone.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So
Who
voted.
made the second? Who seconded that?
You want it?
I thought I heard both, but I wasn't sure.
We'll say I seconded.
Okay, we'll say you did. All right, well, that's good. Well, hopefully that will clear that up and stop that from happening. Magna Vista, we're just carrying that forward until we can go on a site visit and weather's better. Let's see. Oh, the MACC meeting is coming up March 1, pretty soon, a couple weeks. I know some of us are going, so. Site visits, we still have to get out to Hill and Prospect and 33 Appleton Road. You sent out another letter to DOT.
Yes,
Just
and
on
he
the
sent me an
28th, you
email.
said? Oh, you got an email, okay.
I sent it to everybody.
Oh, all right, I guess I missed it.
And, okay,
What did he say?
that there was really no changes there. Very vague.
Non-committal?
So now responsive and onwards.
Yeah, what did I do with that? Did I say, I didn't send it in the packet?
No.
Okay. All right, well, I guess I'll have to email it again, but it was
All
very
right.
vague.
Yeah, 'cause all I got in the mail was the agenda and the minutes.
Okay. All right, I'll have to
All right, you
email
want
it
me to email
again.
that? Okay. So we'll take a look at what he has to say. Let's see here.
Did anyone get the email?
No.
You didn't get it?
No, I did not.
I don't,
Okay.
honestly.
Which email?
It was like one line. One
From Mass
It was
DOT.
from me, from Bill Clary.
I don't recall seeing it.
No,
Okay,
I get so many interruptions there.
the minutes? I know, Sheila, you made some revisions today, right?
Yes, the new ones were today, and it says that I had corrections from Mike and you, Louise. Did you get that? I just gave it to you tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it right here.
The other thing I had written down here was on the Pappas Recreation hearing, that was a continued hearing, so it was a reopen, not just open. We reopened the hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, reopen.
Motion to reopen, okay.
707 Town of Auburn, 5th line. Construction of the playground having a shredded bottom, maybe shredded rubber base layer. That's my recollection.
Okay.
Shredded rubber base layer.
Well, that's the bottom, I mean, the base is the bottom, right?
It's more precise.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of vague. It might be a compliment in some cases, but
Not in this case.
Okay, we won't go there.
um,
Are there any other issues?
One that I revised, Sheila, see, I put in an extra control that wasn't necessary. Voted to place control of the entire Camp Gleason area under the Conservation Commission. You can just delete that
Under
second.
the, okay.
You can
all
delete
right.
that second control.
Sure.
Yep. I have no other changes.
Now, set then, is there a motion?
I would move to accept the meeting minutes for January 22nd, 2014 as amended.
Second that.
Okay, is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed, so voted. Does anyone have anything else for discussion?
No.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted, thank you very much.